Hello, ladies and gentlemen, baX here. I am used to be a guest streamer for White Wizard Games for their Star Realms content, and I am currently a top 100 ranked player in the lifetime list with an almost 63% win percentage over 11,395 games. Today we're going to be playing a real-time game against FalLeNEMPIRE. We are doing a top row game. This is the top row of options. We are starting off with an event here that I'll get into in a sec. We have core set, gambits, promos, bases, events, heroes, and fleets against FalLeNEMPIRE, level 31, 8 out of 32. So turn one here, we did already have the event come up. The trade mission that's going to give, it's one of the very few out of all the events that exist in the Star Realms universe, one of the very few non-symmetric events. They get to take a ship to the top of the deck. I get to draw 2 cards. So they take Battle Blob. This is interesting. Battle Blob damage early, but they are going to be strapped for trade later in the game. As for me, I see an opportunity to get a little spicy here. Cutter will be a take for us for sure. Smuggling Run. Acquire a card that costs 4 or less without paying its cost for this gambit, and political maneuver for 2. So what I see right here is a Cutter Port of Call. Now, may not want to take the Port of Call because they have Bold Raid over here. Destroy target base and draw a card. I kind of like the idea of getting them to not be able to destroy target base and just making them use this to draw a card, which severely hinders the use of this this gambit. Makes it just a gambit for a draw, which is not as good as it would be if you could destroy a base. However, I don't think this early in the game that should stop us from taking something like this. First step is going to be to take the Cutter. We know we're taking this. Let's take the Cutter and see what pops up. It's going to be a scrap 2. This early in the game, we are going to scrap 2 cards here. Viper and Scout going to come out of our hand. Leaves us with 3 plus political maneuver for 5. And that lets us look at this beautiful battle mech that has just popped up. So let's go ahead and scrap 2, play the 3, pop, battle mech, and now we also have the option, because we are about to shuffle our deck, right? Maybe good to get something else into our deck. I do like this patrol mech right here for the smuggling run, since we do have another machine cult card, another red card in our deck. So they'll scrap Viper Scout, I imagine. Oh, Scout Scrapper, straight Scouts. So they are actually going into very, very hard damage with the surprise assault that they have for the 8. We aren't at this point. So let's see here with the 3. I'm gonna take the Embassy Yacht, and what we're doing is we're playing a red-blue. We're gonna try to get the red and blue to, or the blue to faction. We're trying to get the red to faction. I think we can beat them to the punch because we do have the scrap advantage. Now, I can also see that being, this being a play where some people may have preferred to take the blob wheel, and that seems like a perfectly acceptable play. Don't have any issue with that. So here now, we have 8. So the question is, do we take Dreadnought? Do we take Breeding Site? They have this destroy base. I don't think Breeding Site's the right call. The problem we might run into here is that they get the Breeding Site, right? So do we need to take that just to deny it from them? Or do we just take Dreadnought? Do we take Dreadnought and do we go for it? And I think we take Dreadnought. I'm gonna take Dreadnought. Do we want the Federation Shuttle here? Does that feel a little slow? Does it feel a little weird? Well, you know what? This, you know, let's have some fun sometimes. Let's have some fun sometimes. We don't always have to play as optimal, you know. Sometimes you get to make some fun decisions. So taking Federation Shuttle to this faction with Embassy and Cutter to give us the 4. More importantly, or at least what I'm looking at, is if we do get this scrapped down into a cohesive deck, Federation Shuttle is going to give us some nice faction power towards other cards. Mostly though, it's me saying I'm playing blue-red, and that's a blue card I can take, so we take it. Flagship coming up is insane. That's an awesome card for us to take. We do not take an Explorer here. We have enough in our deck. Explorer is not what we're quite looking to do here. So they are getting into these bases here. I'm really surprised they haven't taken the Breeding Site. Like uber surprised. The fact that they haven't though also makes me feel like I'm kind of like okay that So here we have an interesting decision because there's a lot of bases out here, and they are taking a lot of damage cards. In fact, strictly damage cards. We have the opportunity here to either take Breeding Site or Star Market, and because we've already kind of baited out on this, what I mean by that is we've kind of like we've gone for our own bait, in that we've said we're only so now I actually feel awesome. They just use their draw to get the Breeding Site out. Oh, and they just used, okay, this was a mistake. This was a mistake from our opponent. They used the 8, the Surprise Assault, and they may, it's not guaranteed, but they may run into an issue where they can't get through my bases now. So we heal, scrap 2, deal damage. You see what I mean? Like now, what if they didn't draw? They just drew a lot of damage cards. I know they have Breeding Site. They should not have used that Surprise Assault there. They may have just given themselves a very difficult situation. So they do get a draw. They get another draw. And they're leaving. This is very interesting. They're really going for it. Now, of course, they might get it, but they ain't gonna get it here. I mean, I think a bit early. Bit early on the attempt here. 2027. We get a bad hand. That's a bad hand. Yep, take the blob. Don't use it now. But see, it's weird because they aren't going to use it, right? You wouldn't use it here because they don't have the faction. So they're going to save that, but they didn't save their other. They kind of went for it in the earlier go. So we are going to do 5 here. It's about that time. A lot of damage, a lot of shenanigans. We are going to take Star Market. 2218. Could be it. Could be it if they get Hive. They get Hive. That's close. That's game. There it is. All right. Well, you don't win them all. It was a close one. Federation Shuttle was not the play if we were looking to like really win the game, right? Because in that last hand, we would have gotten Battle Mech. It looks like that was our first draw. You can see here, Battle Mech would have been the next card up. Instead of Federation Shuttle, would have faction would have given us a draw and extra damage to be able to kill Breeding Site, and then we would have still been alive. So you know, like I said, when we made the decision, it's like sometimes you got to get spicy and have a little fun when you're doing that. Not going to be our game. Doesn't change the fact that I think FalLeNEMPIRE did make a couple crucial mistakes when it just wasn't necessary. Like, don't use the 8 up front. Like, wait until a potential time when, you know, it might be better to use that. They also left Star Market up, which was okay because they knew that I didn't have another base coming in. That was a smart play. Something to always keep your eye on when you're playing with year 1 promos and you have those bases out that only get triggered if another base comes into play. If you don't see another base in your opponent's deck, or there's not a beacon, there's not a warning beacon out there on the row, yeah, maybe let that go. All right, thank you so much, everybody. I will be releasing a daily video with full commentary. Please feel free to subscribe if you are interested in receiving those videos. See you tomorrow.